All right, so you saw in our last video, the little extra video that we did, we bought that electric jackhammer, trying to make the job easier, breaking down little, motors here. Now, it didn't do too bad on that the small motor, but I'm guessing that these smaller stators, these are probably going to be better off just doing them the old-fashioned way, putting them in your vise and just pull the copper out. Cut the crown off, pull the copper out. Not real hard anyway. It's the bigger ones that give you the difficulty. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to break all these stators down that I have. I showed you all our motors. So I got a few motors up here on the table. And we have a few more over here. These are the bigger ones here. This motor right here, that's a 300-some pound motor right there. And these here, a couple 100 pounds. So we got some good sized motors here that we're going to put to the test. All right, but these bigger motors here, these are going to be the real test if that jackhammer really works. If you watched the last video, the little extra video when I introduced this jackhammer, I basically pulled that thing out of the box, plugged it in, and started using it. I have no experience with a jackhammer. I have no experience with this tool that I just bought. I'm sure that as you use a tool, you get through the learning curve, you're going to get a little bit better at it. At least that's my experience with life. So I think that using it that first time, I think we're going to find out that it's going to get a lot easier when we start breaking these up, just as we get used to the tool. All right, so let's get busy breaking these motors down, getting the stators out, and start splitting these stators. We'll start off with these smaller ones here. Just break them down. All right, so we're getting to the bigger motors here. I'm going to have to put them on this table so I can use my crane to lift them up. Okay, so this is where we're at now. We got down to just the stator and we got to cut the housings off of those. So that's what we're going to do next. And I had a lot of people who made mention about this skid that I need to make some kind of a support bracket to hold these stators in. Now these little stators right here, I'm sure that I already broke them down, cut the housing off of it. Those were those smaller motors that had, they were sub pump motors, I think. We got this one here. This one here is a little bit bigger, but still the width is not wide enough. But like this one here, and maybe these two, maybe these three right here, we'll be able to use the new tool here, the old jackhammer. So we're gonna find out. All right, so let's go ahead, cut these housings off, and then we'll get on to splitting them stators down. See, I got that scored pretty good right here. Got the ends opened up. I'm going to use that jackhammer and see if I can break that. Chance to win $1,000. Just enter this nationwide keyword on our website. Deposit. That's deposit. Enter it now. Backcountry1037.com. Yeah, that broke through that like it was nothing. I guess I'm going to have to do the other side too. All right, let me score that a little bit more right there. All right, so we have all of our stators safely removed from their casings. Now that turkey right there turned out to be an aluminum one, so we're going to take him out of the equation, but the rest are all copper, and we're going to find out if that jackhammer works. Unfortunately, that was our second biggest one. So, all right, so we're going to go ahead and set them down on the skid here and start jackhammering and see if this works. Okay, so here is what I came up with to stabilize the stator. You know, since we don't know if this is actually going to work, or I don't know, I'm not going to put a whole bunch of time and invest in R&D and, you know, the latest greatest. So we just went simple, 2x4s, and we just screwed them down. We can easily unscrew them and adjust for a bigger stator, but for now, this is what we're going to do. So I'm just going to set the camera up and see how this turns out. We'll start off with this stator here. We'll move on to this bigger stator here. We'll figure out what we're going to do with these other ones here. Okay. All right, we got our big hammer on here. All right, here it goes. All right, so as you watch me break this down with that jackhammer, I learned a few things. And like I said, there's a learning curve. The first video that I put out, I made the comment when I'm putting it in the horizontal position doesn't get that jackhammering effect. And a couple of people commented and let me know that, hey, the jackhammer works off of its own weight. It needs to be in a vertical position. And that way, let the weight of itself get you the hammering action that you need. And that's how they operate. So, like I said, there's a learning curve to it. So as I was breaking this one down, about 15 minutes into this took me 18 minutes to break this down with that jackhammer. But about 15 minutes into it, I realized I was going really fast and I wasn't hearing that hammering sound. And it's something that you can only understand with experience. And like I said, for 15 minutes, I'm sitting there hammering with that. It's going fast, and I noticed at times it was just getting the vibration. So I slowed the button down, and I realized the hammering came back, and you could actually see the tool penetrating through faster, even though it was a slower speed, because you're getting the hammering effect. So, like I said, this one took me 15 or 18 minutes to do. And I got that bigger one that I'm going to do next, and we're going to see if we can't improve that time. And like I said, with everything, the learning curve, once you get the learning curve, learn the tool, things will get better. I still got a lot of hope in this jackhammer. I think it's going to be a great add-on to the shop. So let's get busy on that bigger stator, find out and get the right touch with the jackhammer, and see if we can improve our efficiency. Alright, sometimes you gotta own it. Didn't turn out anywhere like I wanted it. Didn't do too bad on that smaller stator. The first one we did, the second one, the big one, it was just too much. All right, I'm gonna have to say that this was a complete bomb. That jackhammer did not break through this. I got so frustrated with it after I hammered that for 20 minutes and barely made it through. I think it just keeps getting, cutting more than one sheet at a time. But that's just the way it goes. I got so frustrated, I ended up just shutting the video off, and I brought it over to the table here, and I ended up sawzawing it. I had a big gap from the jackhammer, so it made it easy to get the sawzall in there, and then I just whipped that around, and that went really quick. But I ended up pulling all that copper out here, and I got this bucket full of this stuff here. There's a good amount of copper. That was a good one. But I ended up cutting the crowns off of these other ones here. And we're just gonna go ahead and pull these the old-fashioned way. I didn't split them, just cut the crowns off because they're just really small ones here. So let's go ahead and cut a couple of these up. All right, let's see if we can at least use the jackhammer to get these crowns out of here, out of the stators. Let's see what happens. All right, so you saw the last stator that I have, and I used the jackhammer one last time to give it one more chance to try to just get the copper out of the half stator. And what it ended up doing was getting like half of it out and just turned it into a big old rat's nest, and it was more difficult. So I'm tossing in the white towel on the jackhammer. It's just not for stators. But, you know, we like to be risk takers, you know. This tool here isn't made for cutting copper, but it works good. So it's made for pruning tree branches, but we use it for copper and it works good. So I thought I'd try the jackhammer out on this stator here, and thinking it might work, but it just didn't work. So it's a good thing we got other uses for the jackhammer. What do you think, Charlotte?
No, I think when you first got out of the box on that first stator, it did show promise.
I had a whole lot of confidence in it, yeah.
And then you tried it on the bigger ones, and it got worse.
Right.
And then
a disaster.
I vote no. The mess was 2 times, 3 times more.
It threw copper everywhere.
I don't like that kind of mess.
We were picking copper strands up for an hour in here this morning.
Yeah, so I vote no on the jackhammer.
Right, no on the jackhammer.
You can use it for other projects that we have coming up that aren't scrap related. They're just home projects.
Yep.
So it's all in all, it's not a total loss, but I don't want you doing stators with it anymore.
Right, no more stators. But what we are going to do is we're going to finish the stators up the old-fashioned way. Just they're all cut in half. So you know, I'm just going to punch these copper pieces out and try to get the ends out, and at least get a value of the copper. We got a lot of copper here.
You know what, Gary?
What?
You should have bought a brand new machete.
Yeah, right.
But we're going back to the machete.
Yeah, I'm always trying to build a better mousetrap.
So,
it didn't work.
Well, you know, you never know if you don't try things.
Right,
so in our mind, hey, that's a good idea, but in reality, not so much. But we live and learn.
Right. Yep. Here's something. You know, we get a lot of questions about this thing here, if you go to Amazon, it's YAWV. I believe that's what it is. You can get these. They're like, I don't know, 45 bucks. You can get them yellow for DeWalt batteries, or you can get them red for Milwaukee batteries, and they work all right. They
Here's
do.
mine. I got mine.
Charles, yeah. What's it say here? So, yeah, it's the same one. I think it's YAWV. So just type that into Amazon pruner or whatever. Because we get a lot of comments asking about this, so so this video will help you. We're not promoting it or selling it or anything like that. We don't get any commission or anything, just so if you want
But
one,
I do
that's what you do.
love mine.
Yeah, we're not promoters of all these tools, but if you ask us what we have, we'll be happy to help you out. Okay, so let's get back to these. Let's get the copper out of them. We'll get a weight, and we'll finish this video. Heavy. That's it. Okay, as you see, we finished the stators, and we're going to weigh these up. But let me tell you this, we had mentioned earlier that we were giving up on that jackhammer, but we've gotten several comments from the past video that we had that were saying, some of them said, hey, get rid of that skid, that's absorbing too much of the impact. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Another guy who had
Just hours ago.
Yeah, just hours ago, as we were breaking down the stators, he texted and said he uses a jackhammer with an asphalt bit that he has sharpened, and he also said get rid of the skid that's absorbing too much of the blow, and
we need to be on a hard surface.
we need to be on a hard surface. So I'm going to look into getting a different bit. I'm not going to give up on this just yet. I had a lot of confidence in this, thinking that it would work, and it seems that it was just the way I'm doing it. So we're going to get a different bit. We're going to, change the surface.
Hard surface.
And we're going to, the next time we get us a bigger motor like that, we're going to see if that doesn't make a difference. So I appreciate all the comments, especially that last one. His name was Jason. And
thank you for the advice.
Thanks for the advice. It's one thing to sit there and try all these things and then you fail. But when people have your back and tell you, hey, try this, try that, that's great. We really appreciate that. But so this video kind of didn't go exactly like we planned, although we did get a lot of copper out of these motors, and we got 2 of these buckets right here, and I've jam-packed these with my foot, so we got 2 of them. So we're gonna go ahead and weigh them up and at least get some money out of the deal. Turn her on and put the bucket up there and tear it out. All right, so it's a 0. All right, now we can just weigh the buckets.
Ready?
Yep, let's go. Can you handle it?
It's heavy.
It's heavy. All right, let's see what we got. What do we get in that one? 27.15. That's 1 bucket.
Okay.
And what's this one weigh? 30.4. Nice. All right, 30.4. All right, 57.55 pounds. 57.55 pounds times number 2 copper was 463. And that comes to $266.46. All right.
That's good.
That's good. I'm happy with that. On top of the copper, we just took our shred down, and we were getting, what are we getting here? Let me read it here. We had 1,060 pounds at $180 a ton. So it got us $95.49 for a total of $361.85.
Hey, don't forget my cans.
Yeah, Charlotte had some cans on there. I didn't add that on though. I just did the 95.
Oh, I thought it was.
$7.20 per cans too, but that doesn't count.
Hey, but it does. It all goes into the scrapping money.
Oh yeah, okay, I guess so. All right. So
I just am the one that saves them.
yeah, she does cleans them out and saves them. So I give her the $7. All right. So I guess that's all we got for you. So we got to get the rest of our scrap down to the scrap yard so we can get paid. Thanks for watching.
Bye.